Thank you very much for presenting the text, and thank you for having us here. This is Ulla and Christel, and we are from the Kolding School of Design in Denmark, and we would like to present this paper to you now. Okay, I need to do a total disclaimer because this is not how we made the presentation. There's something it's jamming up. I don't know if it's because we have a different kind of computer, but it's just to get extra fun. Sorry about it. We spent hours on it. Anyways, so the focus of this paper is to explore the potential and implications of adding body scanning 3D digital tools to an existing program using the user-oriented design and using the approaches we usually do within fashion. The needs is to address end users' physical and digital representation. It's a bit stressful with this kind of text like that. The next it says aim to protect new understandings of how designers can engage scanning technologies in their design processes to address and reflect upon end user inclusivity and representation in their work. Could you go to the next slide?
So it doesn't, it still doesn't work. I'm so sorry.
Or perhaps it does work now. No, not a different. Okay. So what we're talking about in this paper is one work package out of the 3-year program within an EU-funded program called EU-us, where the whole focus is on using digital tools to implement in existing curriculums, where the high focus is on green transition, inclusivity, and diversity. We're building, it's with the Raebild in Rotterdam, Holland, and the University of Ljubljana in Slovenia, and then Kolding School of Design in Denmark. We are 2 years into this, and we have 1 more year to go. And we are building it with the focus on pedagogical approaches. So we have a progression within the 3 years where we add different digital tools that fit fashion. In the library, you can find the course description briefs, education material, tutorials, reflections from both students and from educators, and you'll also find things online on YouTube, and we also have an Instagram. We also have some associated partners that helps us sort of lay out the field we are moving within, but also help us develop and validate what we do afterwards. Yeah, that's the simple ones. Yes.
Yeah, this is I'm not going to spend, we're not going to spend this short time talking a lot about the rest of the framework. You can read it in the paper if you're interested. But just to say that we of course work within the overall fashion design for sustainability area. And also, I guess, of course, the agency of sustainability and application as well. So the 3 nice areas that we position this paper between is time on the inclusive body fit approaches within design and research, how we embed new technology that relates to sustainability and ways in which we can build and work around which that we understand. So the x-axis spot, you can say this is where we try to ship it with this paper. So in terms of the methodology, materials and methods, lots of things that compared to materials being generated in these 3 years. And for this one, we work specifically with understanding you can say the content of the design briefs that are on the page and use content analysis to this. We're also interested in understanding how the prototype design of outcome is affected by both the new embedded scanning technology, but also the methodologies involved here in the briefs. So we do some annotated portfolio analysis of the actual prototypes. And then there's the last thing we have done as thematic analysis of the world students with written reflections. So we kind of tease out in circus, you can say, points of energy or thematic issues that that these new practices and these new technologies bring about in the design practice, not to provide sort of answers of how to do things, but things to be mindful of and for us to trust along the way that we work with these new technologies. Yeah. So we go kind of straight to the results of what we come up with. And first, we would like to introduce some three approaches that we have identified efforts that have taken us.
Yes, and so the three ways of using it is linked to the higher educational institution A, B, and C. And in the first one here, it is a short course on how to use scanner for bodies that do not fit the standard sizes we have in the fashion industry these days. And in this one here, you can see we've listed some of the methods. So they were using wardrobe studies in order to understand what the end user would use today. Before these design students did their designs, they had interviews. They used Flow 3D to do the designing, and then they had the educators had scanned two end users, a man who's above the average tall and a woman who is below the average small or size anyway. And they've done using the Einstein access, and then also the students afterwards were allowed to try or test themselves using mobile phones, the devices you can use now, or the different. There's so many apps now. They had a collaborator of the Sustainable Fashion brand Mila there. That's also placed in Slovenia, and the end users were on standards. So they were working with kind of the student had a given size. And then they were working around making what could be fitted for the brand as well, in this case there. Any comments for that? No, we'll go. Yeah, we'll get back to that. We'll just make it work again. Can't get it to work.
No,
actually.
I'm confused. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna move it.
Thank you. At the higher educational institution B, they had a different approach. So here the scanning was about scanning the environment of a user and what the environment looked like. And they used Luma AI and the Curia Engine mobile applications. And they have, I'm not going to go into details about what the difference is, but you do definitely get a lot more data because you get the surroundings as well. When you use the Luma AI, you can see the examples here at the bottom as well. And then they also interviewed and they used probes. They tried to understand the person they were collaborating with. And then they used Flow 3D, Blender, and Mixamover too, because they ended up making videos of these surroundings. And this was all on a much more sort of artistically speculative way of how this person could be portrayed within the design. So the end user was a chosen other, whereas in the first one they were given. Here the students went out and found the other themselves through their design form. In the higher education C, the course function from aesthetics was with using body scan for inclusion diversity. Again, wardrobe study was used to understand the one they collaborated with the end user, and also user cards. They were introduced to draping methods on a live person called kinetic garment, and then they used Flow 3D as well. They were also introduced to universal design and adaptive design. Then body scan was used again with mobile apps. This was also a way of trying to make it a little bit more democratic as well, that you could do it. But we had to use different ones because the group that was worked with was 5 participants from the Danish Association of Youth with Disabilities. So we had to wheelchair users, so we could not use the True to Form app where you have to be able to stand in the T-pose. So we used Luma AI instead. the students got to make clothes for the collaborators in a way that really fitted their needs, not only their needs, but also the needs of the people who help them get dressed as well, what the great number of needs. Anything you want to add? So speeding away, and then we don't have much time.
So another part of the results are the themes that surface in the thematic analysis. And you can say on the first sort of issue that arises, implication, is the understanding of the new technology that's embedded, and that's across everyone. We can say it takes time and it takes effort to engage with them, to understand them, to evaluate and to find out how they work together with the other technologies and methodologies they're used to working with. There can also be this understanding of where the technology is accurate or not, and how you sort of calibrate that across and where forms can kind of theory. But it can also provide new freedoms, all of a sudden open up new design spaces, new collaborative spaces as well. So it's to understand when you do this, you can't expect to do it without setting time aside. Whenever it's in your own side, what's in a company or an education, you have to actually have some time to engage, to understand and find out what's the most significant to work with. And in alignment with that, you can say this whole idea of data is maybe new to us designers in this form. It's mobility data and empirical things you've been finding out with your end user. And all of a sudden you're entering into what we know from research, how we deal with data in an ethical way, how we secure the data stored the right way, that you get consent and all these things. So that's sort of the formal issue that also takes time. You have to consider it as to complexity, but you also have to consider that you all of a sudden don't necessarily work with imports or materials, whatever you have large volumes of data that you might be overwhelmed with, and where you should begin, how should you choose, what is the right thing to work with. So there's a new journey around conceptual and understanding this new material and how to get. So another theme, of course, that's very relevant to what we're trying to figure out is this building empathy and user understanding. So you can say that while addressing the you can seem really highly relevant when to try to lower consumption and include everyone in the festival. It can all, there's also some resistance in the system because we wouldn't. It actually adds another voice and it adds complexity, and who is how much can you deal with in the time that you have for designing. But it's definitely coming out, or certainly as a way of planning, we're still people on your design, still more designers that actually turn your gaze to who's to use this and how to succeed. Trying to build real understanding, going out, not only building speculative personas, but actually going out and understanding the context of what you're designing. But again, another level of complexity. But I think the whole empathy issue comes across as really strong in the reflection in society. And I can say I would have 1 minute left, so we have to do that. So, yeah, the representation of participation is also negotiation. How much do you let in the user? Are you saying you represent them, or actually letting them participate so they can represent themselves? You know, say that's a dialogue in that shot. There is certainly something around challenging the design role. So who are we who decides what the aesthetics are going to be, what's final? Do we use ourselves as designers, like only the user instead of, or is it the company they're working for that wants to decide what will produce all this? So there's a new dialogue in that. You have new empirical materials that you have to deal with, and also new roles between the end user and the designer. So what is the dialogue? Can be overlearning from that? And then the last one, tech devices, all of a sudden comes up. Some see it as a very personal space. They don't want to share with anyone. They don't want anything so messing with them. Others see it as a way of actually creating a new joint collaborative space with animals. Yeah. So that was the things we now quite listening. And actually over time, so.
But there's
Sum up,
again.
yeah. The answer for that.
To keep you awake.
Yeah, so we have identified these three, like, inclusive end user through generalized editor for industry, right? Inclusive end user through lifeworld, like more conceptual perspective, way of generating a secure representation, and then like end user and benefit needs through curricula, participation. So at different levels and types, and that's what it is. And then, of course, some limitations. We are working with the tutor's perspectives here, and it's been exploratory, practice-based. So, of course, we need to include other perspectives, also to understand this, the science and how we actually work with the use over the time, talking about the tutor role, and also further align with the literature. And just
For you to enjoy. And then, yeah, thank you very much.
Thank